Reverend Professor Emmanuel Kingsley K, Larbi, is the founder and Chancellor of Regent's University College of Science and Technology. He is the founding president of Central University, and his distinguished pioneering efforts led to the establishment of Central University College, which is now Central University. And he served as the founding president from November 1998 to July 2003. He is so far the only Ghanaian credited to successfully pioneer 2 private universities within a space of 7 years. I thought that deserves some clap. Professor Larbi served as the chairman of the Code of Conduct Subcommittee of the Interparty Advisory Committee, IPAC, which produced the Code of Conduct for political parties towards the 2000 presidential and parliamentary elections. In 2011, he received the Best Award in Entrepreneurship, Education category from the UT Entrepreneurs Foundation of Ghana. In 2013, he also received the Distinguished Citizen of Latte Award, conferred on him by Osaberima Asiedu Oko Ababio III, Benkum Hene of Equiapim Traditional Area, for his humanitarian activities in the provision of educational infrastructure and other social interventions. The Presbyterian Church of Ghana also gave him an award at its 14th General Assembly in 2014 for his involvement in various educational and social interventions. And again in 2017, August, he received the Quality Leadership in Education Award by Entrepreneurs Foundation of Ghana. His qualifications include Bachelor of Arts in Bible Theology, Pan-African Christian College, Nairobi, Kenya, Master of Divinity, and Master of Theology degrees from the Nairobi Evangelical School of Theology. And he has a Doctor of Philosophy degree from the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, UK. He has done 1-year postdoctoral research at the Global Research Institute, Fuller Theological Seminary in California, USA. Now, his groundbreaking book on Pentecostalism, The Eddies of Ghanaian Christianity, is so far the most comprehensive research on the origins and development of the Pentecostal charismatic Christianity in Ghana. Reverend Larbi is passionate about social justice, the empowerment of the poor, matters relating to quality education at all levels, Africa's development issues, and Africa's leadership and cultural challenges, amongst others. He's currently an associate minister at the Pentecost International Worship Center, the Atomic Branch, a ministry of the Church of Pentecost. And Prof. Larbi is married to Mrs. Florence Na Besalabi, and they have 4 grown-up children. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to welcome Reverend Professor Emmanuel Larbi.
Thank you very much. You may have your seat, please. You may have your seat. If you have your Bible, turn with me to 2 important readings. The number 1 comes from Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 to 28. Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 to 28. God spoke, let us make human beings in our image, make them reflecting our nature. I'm reading from the Message translation of the scriptures. So they can be responsible for the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, the cattle, and yes, the earth itself, and every animal that moves on the face of the earth. God created human beings. He created them godlike, reflecting God's nature. He created them male and female. God blessed them. Prosper, reproduce, fill the earth, take charge, be responsible for the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, and for every living thing that moves on the face of the earth. God blessed them. I'm taking that again. God blessed them and said to them, prosper, reproduce, fill the earth, take charge, be responsible for the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, and for every living thing that moves on the face of the earth. Amen. And then the second reading comes from Psalm number 8. Psalm number 8. Psalm number 8, and I'm reading from verse 3. When I look at your heavens, the work of your hand, your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have set in place, what is man that you are mindful of him? Man and woman for that matter. And the son of man and woman that you care for him. Yet you have made him a little lower than the heavenly beings and crowned him with glory and honor. You have given him dominion over the works of your hands, and you have put all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, and also the beasts of the field, the birds of the heavens, and the fish of the sea, whatever passes along the paths of the seas. Amen. And the last reading comes from Psalm 139, Psalm 139, verses 13, 14, and 15. Psalm 139, reading from the 13th verse. For you formed me, for you formed my inward parts. I'm reading from the English Standard Version. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Say, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And so I was born to win. I was not born a loser. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Intricately woven from the depths of the earth. Amen. Now, there's another scripture that I will just say, and that comes from Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. I think because you are young people, let me get that one. Jeremiah 1, okay. Okay. Reading from verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I consecrated you and I appointed you a prophet to the nations. Then I said, Ah, Lord God, behold, I do not know how to speak, for I am only a youth. For I do not know how to speak, for I am only a young person, just like you. For I am only a youth. And listen to what God told him. The Lord said to me, do not say I am only a youth, for to all to whom I send you, you will go. And whatever I command you, you shall speak. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you to deliver you, declares the Lord. Do not say I am a young person, for to all to whom I send you, you shall go, and whatever I command you, you shall speak. And do not be afraid of them, for I am with you to deliver you, declares the Lord. When God told Jeremiah that before you became a clot of blood in your mother's womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I set you apart, or I consecrated you to be a prophet to the nations. That is destiny. That is destiny. That is destiny. Gentlemen, I think your thing has a problem. Can I use my own? Is the pointer here or towards you? Hello? Where is the point? Where is, So that is destiny. Everybody born carries a destiny. That is something that God himself has fashioned us to be. Something that God himself has fashioned us to become. So we were born to fulfill particular destinies. And when you look at Genesis 1, 26, 27, 28, which I made reference to, it has all to do with an identity. An identity. As soon as we are able to establish the question, who am I? Who am I? And we are able to find an answer to that question, then 50%, about 50% of your struggles are over. So most of us are moving helter-skelter because of identity. When Dr. Jekum asked the question as to how many people who want to travel, and apparently a lot of people raised up their hands because they want to travel, all this have to do with identity. Who am I? Who am I? So as immediately that question of identity is sorted out, your way to prosperity is determined. 50% on. You have a 50% head start ahead of But the person that has not been able to settle this issue of identity will continue to grope in the dark, asking questions that have already been answered. So as a young person, for you to be able to determine the way forward, first and foremost, you have to be able to answer the question, who am I? And verses 26 to 27 of that chapter 1 of Genesis, says, we were all created by God in his own image. And the Message translation says, we were created God-like. If it was not working, I have my own. We were all created, okay. We were all created God-like. We were all created God-like. So we all carry the image of God, the Magode. And then when you go to Psalm 139, verses 13, 14, 15, we are told that we were wonderfully and fearfully made. So we are not a creation of accident. No. We were purposefully made by God to fulfill a particular agenda that fits into the will of God. So every human being participates in the general mandate. The general mandate is to be responsible, to rule, to take charge, and to be productive. And that's what we find in verse 28 of Genesis chapter 1. To rule, to be responsible, to take charge, and be productive. That is the general mandate. So each and every one of us, God expects us to be in charge. So when we see our gutter choked with filth, it means we are abdicating responsibility. When we are not able to take control of things in our environment and we are littering garbage everywhere, it means we are abdicating responsibility. When we see only death and decay around us and filth around us, in a situation where God says, be productive, rule, and be responsible and increase, it means we are abdicating responsibility. We are abdicating responsibility. So I wanted to lay this basic information before we move on. When we are able, as I said, to settle the question of identity, who am I? Who am I? The fact that you were created by God and intricately woven, created to rule, created to be responsible, created to be in charge, created to be productive, now your mind is settled because you have found your purpose. You have found your purpose. That is the reason why you are here on earth. The reason why we are here on earth. So, we are all born to fulfill a divine purpose, and we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Some are endowed with ability to be pioneers. Others are endowed to build upon foundations laid by pioneers. Pioneers or entrepreneurs, first generation entrepreneurs, they create platforms. They create platforms. They are trailblazers. They go to areas and places that people have not been. They challenge the status quo. When people are saying the thing will not work, they look at those things and they say it will work. So they create the foundation for others. And then we also have people who are gifted, endowed with abilities. But these people are not pioneers. They are not gifted to be pioneers, but they are gifted in other areas. And those gifted in other areas, you are also supposed to build your prosperity on the foundation created by others. So whether you are a pioneer or you are to build upon the foundation laid by a pioneer, all of us are required to be productive. All of us are required to be fruitful. All of us are required to be able to expand our territory. And that is the basic understanding I want all of us to know. Now, For the next 30 minutes or so that I'm going to speak, if you get this particular point and you don't get the others, I will be comfortable. But then the fact of the matter is that because I'm not going to expand everything here, I can't get time to expand everything here, considering the limitations of time within which I am operating. You will do well to listen. You will do well to listen and also, take the appropriate notes. I have researched, asked questions, and interacted with people. And I've come to that definite conclusion that there are 7 principles. And interestingly, Dr. Jekum also said 7. There are 7 principles to productive living. 7 principles to productive living, or 7 keys to business success, or 7 keys to personal success. So if you want to succeed, if you want in your business or in your personal life, these 7 principles, you must listen to them carefully. And I'm not going to be able to elaborate. I'll just mention 2 of the principles, and dilate a little bit, and then the rest, I'll just mention them. You see, if you look at most of the people that have been able to make money or establish enduring legacies in terms of businesses, whether you are looking at Judaism, or you are looking at Christianity, or you are looking at Islam, all of them have been able to establish some connection between their faith, right, and their business success. All of them. Because of our time, I will just give you 2 examples. How many of you know that Aliko Dangote is not a Christian? It's a Muslim. You know. But at the moment, have you heard of Dangote cement, the owner, the person that produces that cement? Anything? Okay. The person that, whose company produces that cement, he has other companies. Okay? He is not a Christian, but he has established he's at the moment the richest black person in the world. Not only the richest African, globally, he's the richest black person in the world. He has been able to establish the connection between his prosperity and his faith. So for him, faith is very critical for business success. Faith is very critical for business success. The other person is John D. Rockefeller. He lived 1839 to 1937. He died. But his legacy still speaks. Created foundations and scholarships for many. And he also established a relationship between his faith, right? His faith and his business prosperity. And try and find time to research on your own. Whether you are talking of Warren Buffett and all these people, they will all tell you that there is something about their prosperity which they can trace to their faith. And all these people think that, as it is written in Deuteronomy chapter 8, from verses 18 down, that it is God that gives us strength to make wealth. It is God. And they have also experienced that in their life. And so they are working with that. And so you cannot leave out God as your foundation if you want to be prosperous, if you want to be successful. So this is also basic foundation for prosperity. The foundation number one is to know who you are, traceable to God, right? And then when it comes to the 7 principles for successful living, the foundation number one, or point number one, or key number one, is the God factor. And as I've said, most of these powerful entrepreneurs, business people, rich people, billionaires, they have, including our own Dangote, they've established a relationship between their faith and abundant life, their faith and prosperity. So, knowing that, you go to Psalm 14, verse 1, the psalmist says that is the fool that says there's no God. Because they are abundantly sure of the reality of God. So that is the fool that says there's no God. You'll find the same thing to Psalm 10, verse 4, and Psalm 53, verse 1. So the God factor is critical. And as a matter of fact, in terms of dealing with the challenges of life, dealing with the struggles of life, it has been demonstrated scientifically that the people with faith, they are able to handle and manage the challenges of life more than the people that don't have. And then we can test somebody who is sick and they've been admitted to the hospital. Test the one that has faith and the one that does not have faith. You realize that the one that has faith in God, the healing process is faster than the one that does not have faith. Than the one that does not have faith. So now, the other factor that I want to talk about is the mission factor, the mission and vision factor. The mission factor basically deals with my purpose. Why am I here? Why am I here? And that should be traced to where? Genesis chapter what? Why are you here? Why are you here? So I'm not going to call for people to answer the questions on the behalf of all of you. All of you, if you have come here and you have paid money, right? If you haven't paid money, next time I will not come. Not to me, but to the organizers. But when you pay money for something, you value it more. You won't come here and sleep. You will not come here and sleep. So why are you here? Why are you here? Not here at this point in time, but why are you on this earth? Why? Come forward and give me the answer. Why are you here? Why are you here? What is your purpose here on earth? Just to pass through and die? What is your purpose? Why are you here? So unless, as I said, if you are not able to settle on the question of identity, you don't have any future. Because anybody at all can defend you, can tell you that you emerge from an ape, you believe it. That you prosper only when you go to America, you believe it. You prosper only when the Indians come here and they build a factory and they employ me, and then you believe it. Because you don't have the foundation that will make you prosper. You don't have that foundation. So the question of who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Created in God's image, to rule, to be in charge, to be responsible, to dominate, to take charge of God's creation, fearfully and wonderfully made a little bit lower than the angels. And that is what Psalm 8 is saying. So you are not a creation by accident. You were born to win. From your mother's womb, God said, just as he told, Jeremiah, that before you became a clot of blood, he knew you. He knew you. And before you were born, he had a specific assignment for you to do. And that is where vision comes in. When you get this foundation that I'm talking about, and then you are able to identify, this is the thing that God wants me to do, and you catch it, you are on your way to progress already. Any other thing doesn't matter. You are so much passionate because you know God has spoken about you. And it is true. And so that is what, fires up your adrenaline. You don't give up because you know God has spoken. So you know God has spoken. You see, you can't come to my class and sleep. When you come to my class and sleep, I know you have a problem. I know you have a problem. Okay, now, having established this fact, then there are 1, 2, 3, which I will not elaborate. Okay, then, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 things are something you have to do. You have to develop. Industry means hard work. Industry means hard work. And then with hard work, you also add discipline. Whether you are talking of when it comes to discipline, we have 4 areas. We have physical discipline. We have intellectual. My brother, you are not right. You are not writing. You came here to do what? You are not writing. You see, we go to church. You know why the churches in Africa are growing, but we don't have mature Christians. They go as a tabula rasa. Empty slates, somebody pours the information, and then they go back home. The challenges come, they can't manage the challenges, and so they go to the person again for more information to be poured, and then they go home. They themselves don't have foundation. They themselves don't have foundation. Build capacity. Tell your person next to you. Tell the person, build capacity. Build capacity. Capacity for growth. And that must be based upon understanding. Must be based upon understanding. Capacity for growth. So if you don't build the right capacity, you can start business. Somebody tells you that some witch somewhere is undermining your business. And so that's why business is not growing. When, as a matter of fact, it could be some wrong decisions that you are taking or some right things that you are not doing. Okay, I need to move on. Okay, so having added, you need to add industry, discipline, perseverance, and courage. You have to look for my book on this. It is, forthcoming. You have to add that to the God factor and then the vision and the mission factor. Thereafter, then we look at the service and sacrifice factor. Service, you see, our life is not to be lived for ourselves. Whether you are talking of Bill Gates, or you are talking of Rockefeller, or you are talking of Dangote, all these people have money, they control money. But they realize that the money is not only for them to be chopped. How much can they chop? When Bill Gates was asked, interviewed by BBC, that because of his riches, his children will not have to work. Bill Gates' response is that his money is not for his children. That is for his foundation. That's so far as he's alive, he will give them the best of education that they can get, right? If they want to travel for educational purpose, he will help them to travel. But then at the end of the day, they themselves must have a foundation to be able to stand on. See, I haven't seen in this our nation, starting from Central University to present, I haven't seen any huge building built by somebody and handed over by his children after his death that has been well maintained. Never. No. Whether you are talking of where Central started, Barnyard, or you are talking of Flamingo, where Regional University started, none of them. Because the people themselves that became the inheritors didn't have the foundation to manage those things. So when we went to one of these places, I can tell you, water bill outstanding, electricity outstanding. We had to pay. We had to pay. So, we want to be established. And God will indeed establish you because it is in line with his covenant. You are not thinking of only being able to afford a 3 square meal a day. That is ordinary living. You want to be experiencing the blessings of Abraham. The blessings of Abraham means your blessings are blessing multitudes. And that's the kind of prosperity that the Church of Jesus Christ must attract. That's the kind of prosperity that the Church of Jesus Christ must attract. So you are endowed with riches so that you'll be a blessing. So that your life will be a life of sacrifice. Find out from Bill Gates and the rest, Warren Buffett and the rest, how much money they give to solve problems in third world. When we are creating the filth in the gutters, and the mosquitoes and the rest are killing our people, they bring us medicines to cure ourselves. My brother, one of the things that in future I would like to address the young people here is the cultural forces underpinning Africa's poverty. Cultural forces. Now, we're not only single out the mind, no. Cultural forces underpinning the reason why we are where we are. How come that Paul Kagame, 1994, after the genocide, about 1 million people died, 800,000. He came on the scene, and within a short period of time, now, Kigali has become one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And they are coming here to Ghana to help us run certain institutions of ours. How come? How come that Nkrumah could see several years ahead and be able to think of African unity before the Europeans gathered to think of European unity? So please, don't allow somebody to classify you in one bucket that all Africans are like this, because it's not true. The people that are able to find the secret, they break out. That's how it is. So you can sleep on the same bed with somebody, and then somehow one person gets the light. She flies, and you are still sleeping on the same bed. Still living in filth. Still living in a mud house structure. That's how it is. You see, you as an individual, if you don't become annoyed and angry with the status quo with yourself, you aren't going to make progress. You are not going to make progress. Okay, so now, the 7 principles for successful businesses or successful life, I said I will not have time to dilate. What I've said so far, what I will say. But that, and then going to Genesis 1, 26 to 28, Psalm 139, verses 13, 14, and 15, and Psalm 8, they are all foundations for us to know who we are. For us to know who we are. So don't go from this place without knowing who you are. If you came here with identity crisis, shake it off and say that I'm a creature of God. A dog will never give birth to a donkey or give birth to a chicken. Dogs give birth to dogs. Eagles give birth to eaglets, and they become eagles. Lions give birth to lions. That's how God has made it. So God, giving birth to me, or having created me, I cannot be anything other than a creation of God's own image. God's own image. So now, we are going to the real issue. Now move very fast. You see, when it comes to starting an initiative, money is secondary. Money. You don't begin with money. You begin with what you have. You don't begin with money. You do not begin with money. Because money will continue to be a challenge of humankind. But the people that break through are people who focus on their visions. What is it that I want to do? And we become so passionate about it. And we begin to initiate some processes that you have the ability to initiate. It's just like somebody who wants to, buy a car. Buy a car. Or he's thinking of buying a car in future somewhere. But you see, majority of Ghanaians, even up to PhD levels, they begin to learn how to drive when they either have cars or they're about to have cars. Unlike an arrangement where before you finish your high school, you must learn how to drive. So you graduate at the high school level with a certificate and then with your driving license. We wait until we have the money before we learn. But you see, that learning how to drive, and you are working, you will buy, even if you are not working, you can get somebody's money to help you learn how to drive. That's the truth. If you want to build a house, you don't see the finished product. You think of what you can do now. Can you buy a bag of cement? A bag of cement can, with available sand can give you 30 normal blocks. 30. A bag of cement. So you begin with what you can do. And you need about 4,000 blocks to put up 3 to 4 bedroom house. So the money that you are spending on mobile phones, top-ups, credits, and with frivolous calls that you are making here and there, you can save that money to get you a bag of cement. And with that bag of cement, go to Abosokai and buy the mold. Save a little bit to get the sand. Get somebody to help you begin to mold. Before you realize 30 bags, 60 bags, 30 blocks, 60 blocks, you are making progress. And then you reach a point to say, now I have enough blocks to begin the foundation. If you don't begin like that, you will be waiting for millions to come before you begin to build a house to dwell. And some of you, it will never happen for some of you. So you will always begin where you are with what you have. It's just like Moses that God had demonstrated his power to. Moses had seen God through fire, through, signs and wonders. And now he confronts the Red Sea, and Moses didn't know what to do because there was pressure. So as the people were putting pressure upon him, he also started screaming. And then God told him, what is it that you have? Haven't you seen the rod that you use in the land of Egypt? Why can't you, use the rod? And then Moses directed the rod, and the Red Sea parted into two. That is it. You always have something that God has given to you that can be the foundation of your prosperity. Let's move on. So, the basic understanding, these people, the startup owners are entrepreneurs. They are entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs are trailblazers. They blaze new trails. They blaze new trails. They are able to start from nothing. When we were starting Central University College, the church council voted against it twice. Voted against it twice. The Sunkwan Lodge, where the thing started, we were to pay $24,000. 2 years rent advance. 2 years. One meant only 1,000. The church paid $2,000 out of the 24,000. The church said no, they couldn't. So we should forget about it. We went to the owner. We didn't have money to rent the thing anymore. The owner started crying. She's even dead. Started crying. that he had made a commitment to give that house for the use of God's work. Because when the husband died, he went there for a while, and then the police people took over, and then some Bible school came, and then the place ran down completely. And then, so when we went to him, he said, now go and use the place. When you get money, we come and pay. We credited almost everything. People never believed. The first faculty members, there was not a single person from the church that was on the faculty. There was, because they didn't believe that thing would work. Until they saw the accreditation. Until one Sunday morning, after sharing that, we would need about 30 multimedia computers to start the university. As at that time, the University of Ghana School of Administration had 12. Yes. Originally, we had planned with 50. And then when the going was so hard, Otabe said, when we get 12, it will be okay because the School of Administration had 12. And so this Sunday, when I got the opportunity to speak to the congregation about the computers that we needed, I had 50. I dropped the 50 to 30, and I announced the 30 to the church. The church became wild. I went to sit down, and then Ofekwapon, the chief usher then, came to whisper to me that there was somebody in the congregation that had said we will give all the 30 computers. So if I will not reduce it from 50 to 30, the person will have provided, and the person wasn't a member of the church. These are facts. These are facts. We are living witnesses of what God can do, of what determination, strength, and focus can do. And now Central University has about 8,000 students. So technically speaking, the Central University doesn't have, we can't have an individual that can refer to the university as chancellor and founder. No. It was an initiative of the church. And the only money that the church put in was at a point in time, we needed to pay the person who was pre-financing it. So they went for some, which is something that is now, I think, about 50,000 cities now. That was the only money that the church helped the university to get. Everything else was on basis of brute faith. What to a point in time when the church council met, and they were arguing. Otabil asked me, I was Dr. Larbi then. Dr. Larbi, is it sheer belief or boldness or faith? Nobody believed anything. Nobody. I started with my own personal laptop. So the time we were starting Central Regional University, I was better endowed than when we were starting the Central University College. That's the truth that many people don't know. That's the truth that many people don't know. So, entrepreneurs, they see opportunities when and where others see challenges. They see things others don't see. See, when we met at the church council and they asked when they were so doubtful, I was seeing some finished products. I was seeing the buildings, the pictures in my head, in my mind. I was seeing. Please, let's move on. So they make the most of their insight, and they use tools that are available to others as well, but use them with greater skills. They are not comfortable with the status quo. They challenge the status quo. They look at the here and now, the challenges, and said this must not be. It must change, and they work towards that. They work towards that. So they create the world they want to see. They don't wait for the person to create the world. You see, every year, we bring professors from either Europe or America to our university. And I haven't seen a single Ghanaian professor that has been brought to Ghana who is working in America, that the thing that by God's grace we can do, I can do, that they can do. If they want to get a car, they get credit. They pay over 5 years, and then they can trade it and get another. Those of you that have traveled before, you know. By here, you can go to a place, pay 60% of what's required, and the rest spread over 6 months. You do that. So, you see, we shouldn't look down upon ourselves here in the country because we are, you see, if there's a blessed country where people must prosper, it's ours. When the Indians and the Japanese and the rest are coming, they know they are coming to a land of promise. Yes? And we also think that my promise is in the promised land in America or somewhere. And that is a lie. The bulk of our people in America and the rest are poor, if you didn't know. When their parents die, they are not able to come because they don't have the required permits to come. The bulk of them. They are poor. So they are risk takers, innovators, and experimenters. But you see, when the passion or the idea is there, it's the idea that is driving you. It is the idea that is driving you. And that is the vision. And the vision is mixed up with passion. The passion makes you restless. The passion makes you see things that others don't see. The passion makes you say things that others are not saying. When others are saying the thing will not work, as at the time I was referring to Central University, the church had not finished their first main auditorium, Christ Temple. So the argument is, we haven't finished our main auditorium. A Dr. Larbi not going to saddle us with that. And that is normal. Because they didn't have the grace to see what God has graced you to see. So you don't blame them. You have grace which they don't have. You are seeing things which others are not seeing. So you must allow the vision that you have to drive you. Know the challenges. But because the challenges will always come. But the challenges are to be used as platforms for our super projection. And in as much as we have set the foundation of identity that God is our source. If God is our source, the supply may take time, but whatever be the case, the answer will by all means come. And that is the confidence. That is the confidence. That is the confidence. So every young person, so they did the status quo, and they are willing to exert every energy to make it happen. Okay? They refuse to be encumbered by past failures and successes. So they create the world they want, they dream for. They are risk takers, innovators, and come on, let me. So now, the most important question that some of you will want, funding for startups, because you were asking that question, funding for startups. Dangote says, establishing successful companies require 90% guts and 10% capital. Dangote. Those of you that want to do extra reading, I send the bibliographic data to the organizers. That establishing successful companies require 90% guts and 10% capital. But initially, listen to this session very, very well. The initial funding generally should come from the founders themselves, should come from the owners. You have something, and you must use what you have. So you start with what you have, not what you don't have. Excuse me. Venture capital must be thought of only at a point in time. You don't begin to think of bringing people in at the beginning. You do it in the process. And as some of you may know, venture capitalists will normally want to go to area that they want a quick harvest, a quick harvest. And at a point in time, you can make use of the stock exchange, services, for growth and expansion. How many of you understand debt apart from debt financing? Debt financing in business. How many? Debt financing, DEBT financing. That is going for a loan to finance your project. They call it debt financing. Don't go for debt financing at the beginning. Don't do that. You see, you must also watch again, even if you are going to go for a loan, you must be as realistic as possible. Your projections may not always be accurate. You see, after your projections, doubt it 50%. And work with the 50% and say, should only 50% work? Will I be able to make the repayment? If you can't, you don't go there. You must also insist on a period of moratorium before the repayment. A moratorium means you are given a breathing space, whether 6 months or 1 year, before the repayment starts. But if you don't package it very well, your business could be killed at the beginning. Debt can kill your business. So it is better to grow gradually rather than going for debt financing, unless there is certainty that repayment will be on schedule. And then network is also very important for capacity building. Network means you build alliances and linkages of people that can come on board, whether family members or friends or churches. We sell your ideas, right? Build that kind of network, whether locally or externally, to build capacity. This one, my time is up. So I have the slides and also have the write-up, so they will give it to you. I can't go over again. Motivation for startups. Let me mention one kind of motivation for startups. In almost every case, it's the passion to see to the fruition of the idea that motivates the people. You see, if the number one motivation becomes, I want to be rich, you will fail from the beginning. If you look at all the huge businesses that have been established, research has demonstrated abundantly that they didn't start with the aim of making fortunes. No. So you don't start that, I want to become a millionaire, I want to become like this. No. You start with that idea, passion about the idea. And that is what must drive you. My brother, next time when you invite me, I'll need about 1.5 hours to pour out my heart. I deal with students. I employ professors. I deal with students to pour out my heart. I have so much, and I'm growing. It's not all the books that I pray that God give me the grace to write the books, right? But I don't know how many of them I'll be able to write. So when I meet you like this and ideas are flowing, don't sit down dozing. Get some points. Fly with those ideas. Expand on what we said. If you want to contact us, arrange and contact us. We will help you grow. We will help you grow. Please give me 5 minutes now. Give me 5 minutes. Let me talk about this. So society contribution is very critical. You see, at times our country doesn't create an enabling environment for startups to blossom, for businesses and indigenous initiatives to blossom. In a situation when you have opened our borders, our gates so widely, and all manner of import, the toilet roll, the toothpaste, the tomato paste, and the rest, all are coming. And every year we have the cycle of abundance of tomato and then dearth of tomatoes. Why don't they empower people to be able to establish tomato factories? When I was working for Cementation International, we built the white water, red water, and black water ridges. There was a tomato factory at a place called Brenham, tomato factory. In Krumers, the farm, the agri farm that he settled, you could go there and see machinery that had been abandoned. You are talking of 81, 79, 81, 82. And now we don't, I think they recently started something. So the government might create a labor environment. When in a situation where you allow foreign institutions to come and establish in the country to cripple or to destroy the local initiative, we should not do that. When you go to a place like India, whether you are coming from Harvard or Oxford or whatever, you want to establish a branch there, the Indian government will not allow you. So come and team up with some institutions that are already there so that those institutions will grow. Here the accreditation board will say that let them come, because when they come, they will also help the people, improve, but they help the local people to improve. But when there is a table here and table here, Harvard, Central, Oxford, Ashasi and the rest, wouldn't you be able to take the Harvard and the rest? Yeah. So we are not thinking well. Our thinking is not helping our people to grow. It's not helping to develop local indigenous initiatives. So the creation of a naval environment is very critical. And that's all that I will say about that. And now, let's, okay. When you get the paper, try and read the first mover advantages. I won't get up to speak about that. That is very, very important. That is very, very important. And then going global, going global, going global, going global, going global. Let me make one word about the first mover advantages. You see, when you enter a field as the first person or as the first institution, you have certain advantages. The time that the Central University College started, there was only Valley View in a bush somewhere. Few people had heard of Valley View. So we were able to start the weekend programs, the evening programs, and all this. So from day one, the university started growing. And then the public universities, they even thought that the thing would not work. The people that the government, the National Accreditation Board brought to do the assessment, they said one cannot close from work having put in 8 hours to come and study. So they fought against it. But because now the thing has been so successful that the public universities are copying left and right. But you see, when you start as the first person and you don't quickly grow, some fast people will come on board and overtake you and then outstrip you. So whatever be the first, intake advantage that you have, don't stay there. Work upon it, grow with it, be innovative, add on, so that you will continue to be leading. You will continue to be leading. We were the first regent. We were the first university to start postgraduate studies in computer science. We did it before Kwame Nkrumah University College started. And we were able to do it in collaboration with Dickendorf University of Applied Sciences. But we didn't move fast enough. So Ghana Telecom University, signed agreement with Coventry University and the rest, and they started running several postgraduate universities, and we were crippled. We had the advantage, we were ahead of K University, but we could not fly with it. January 2011, we were number 3 in webometric ranking. We could not maintain that place because we were not passionate enough. We were not passionate enough. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to stop now. The write-ups are there, the PowerPoints are there, and organizers will give it to you. So, wait. Don't clap yet. Customer satisfaction. You see, some people will just come here and go through the motion without getting anything. Say, I will get something. I will get something. By all means. Very good. So, customer satisfaction from the beginning to the end is critical. You don't begin doing everything nice to satisfy customers, then in the process of time, you give up. No. When you do that, others will come and overtake you. So customer satisfaction from A to Z, critical. Critical. So, we might be willing to pay the price if we want to succeed in business, even in our own personal lives. We might be willing to pay the price, and when it comes to paying the price for business or personal development, we have spiritual, physical, and intellectual. May God have mercy upon you so that your life in this world will be lived with confidence and in dignity. Because the future is bright for all those who believe in God. And the future is also bright for Africa because now is our time. And the future is undoubtedly bright for Ghana. But you see, you can be a place where there's milk and honey flowing, and unless your eyes are open, others will come and eat and drink the best, and you will continue to operate as a pauper. God bless us.
Tell us your name, where you're coming from, and then we can ask your question.
My name is Agbenafa Bless Kwabla. I'm a service personnel at Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research. And my first question is, Prof, you know we have 3 categories of people. That's 1, the D type of people, the goat type of people, and the sheep type of people. What category does one have to fall to become successful? Thank you.
Yeah, but, let me ask you a follow-up question.
Okay.
How do you know that the categories that you refer to are accurate? How do you know? How do you know that they're accurate?
Okay, I will like to say that for the D type of people...
I'm saying, how do you know they are accurate? That they are not just a figment of the imagination of somebody.
Okay, see, Prof, you know, there are some people naturally, they don't like to come close to people.
They don't want to do what?
They don't like to come close. Like they are always that kind of wayward people. They are always going.
Going to where?
Okay, they are antisocial. They are not sociable.
They are not sociable.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And there are some people, whether...
and then there are sociable ones.
Yeah.
And then the neutral ones.
Yeah, they are neutral ones.
Uh-huh.
So in this way, I may have the ability, or I will be thinking of becoming great.
No, don't think of becoming rich. I told you, if you listen, that should not be the starting point. You are to rule. You are to be productive. You are to increase. You are to be responsible. You are to take charge. Don't think of being rich. Being rich for what?
Okay, Prof, you see, all the 3 categories of people I've mentioned, you can't be the D type of people and still want to become productive.
You can't be what?
You can't be the D type, like us in, you are the type that when you see people, you are away, you are antisocial.
And be productive. And it is a fallacy.
Yes.
You see, that's why the mental revolution is very important. You see, if you read Genesis 1, 26, 27, 28, God created us in his own image. He created us God-like and gave us the authority to be responsible, to take charge, to rule, to have dominion. Whether you are, choleric or melancholic or whatever, that charge, that general mandate is for everyone. So when it comes to the practical realization, you look at the particular focus where you can rule, where you can take charge, where you can be responsible, where you can represent God or reflect God as somebody who bears God's image. So first of all, must understand the general mandate. Everybody. Genesis 1, 26, 27. God created us in his own image and he created us God-like. That is the scripture. It's not my testimony. That's what the Bible is saying. When you go to, if you are a Muslim, you check the Quran, you see similar renditions. So it is a fallacy. First of all, identify your identity. Locate yourself with God. And then the ministry and that the vision. The idea that God wants you to work on. And so that idea that must fire you up. And then with passion, you see yourself gradually moving forward.
Hello, I'm Owusu from the University of Ghana.
Yes.
In your last slide, you spoke about the cost we have to bear. I would like you to expatiate on the intellectual cost.
Very good. You see, many people go into areas that I have very little knowledge about. For instance, there are certain business areas that you should not go at or you should not think of until you have built capacity. Let's say drilling oil or establishing a financial institution. These are capital-intensive things. So unless the money is sitting down, you are not praying for the money to come. The money is there. The equipment are there. The partners are there. So you go to the field, the exploration is in millions. When the money is there. You get the point? But there are other areas that it's not just like what I've narrated to you. It's not just that capital intensive. So in those areas, you begin with what you have. You begin with what you have. And so now, you must have the knowledge and that intellectual capacity, the knowledge about the area, and also when you are in it, you see, don't first of all, don't go into it with a traditional knowledge. The little that you know, you must read about it. And then you get to understand it. And then in the process of growing it also, you must continue to upgrade your knowledge. Because knowledge increases. Things are moving very fast. Things are moving very, very fast. So if you become static, like they do in some of these universities, know that were you 10 years ago, they are still reproducing. Thankfully, I think they've stopped now. 10 years, nothing new. And you have to buy a lecturer's note to pass. When you can go to the website of MIT, you get more developed, more advanced Excel notes that are free. A lecturer says, buy my note to pass. So our place, when you are caught, you are dismissed. So intellectual capacity is very critical. Ignorance is a disease. And that will also enslave you. God said two ways. He said, because of ignorance or lack of knowledge, my people went to captivity. And the other one says in Proverbs, lack of knowledge, the people perish. So intellectual, you must keep on upgrading yourself. And those of you that are students, you don't study for exams. Exams is just part of your life as a human being. It's an extension of your human experience. You study for life. So it means you read widely, so that at the end of the day, you will not have an average knowledge. You have well-developed, expanded knowledge, right? Very soon when you graduate, thousands of people are graduating in the same subject areas. What will put you what ahead of others is that extra knowledge that you have read. And I will refer you to Ben Carson's book, Thinking Big. Ben Carson, that African American, the neurosurgeon. You can get it on the market. Thinking Big. Try and get that book if you're a student, then read it to change your mind. Those of you that are just preparing for exam, read books. Narrowly around the subject area, and that's also what is influencing people to copy and dabbing and writing things somewhere here to pass. Your life is not just passing an exam; it's just a stage. But if you learn and learn well, you will be ahead of others. One of our students went to Cocoa Board for an attachment. By the time you went there a little bit, it's a lady. And you majored in management with computing. You went there late. By the time you got there, you had somebody, I think, from Legon, another person from Ghana Telecom, from Methodist University, from Korean University or so. And they were in the computer science department. They were sent to the Ghana Cocoa Board. And so this lady did management with computing. And some people confuse the conjunction with the preposition. The management with computing means you have a lot of management, by 70, 80%, and the computer science a little bit. Okay? But they confuse it, so they put among the computer science people, those that did information communication technology, those that did BSc computing, all of them. But it didn't take long, and he became the group leader. And then when the secretary to the head of that department went on leave, because this girl has also done management, he became the secretary. And that's the thing. So don't limit yourself to little things. Get some. The worth of the certificate this institution will give to you is about 5 cedis. The paper, I'm talking of the paper. The paper. You can print, you are printing in thousands, it can even be 2 cedis. So the value of the certificates is the knowledge backing it. There's somebody who wants to talk? Sit
down. My name is Albert Doyiri, a student of School of Anesthesia, Rich.
And if you are standing, you better come here, otherwise we'll leave you. You want to ask a question? Then you better come forward. Now, please, go ahead.
Yeah, please, you admonish us that we should, as beginners, we should stop doing debt financing.
So, did I say that?
Yeah, for starters.
You don't go there first. Debt financing could kill your business. So don't go there first until you know that you can do the repayment.
Okay.
So, venture capital is the best.
Okay.
Because you see, our banks here are not our friends. They are managing some people's funds, and they want to make as much profit as possible. Right? So you don't go to them when you know that you are not ready. You don't go there at all. You start with what you have. You grow gradually.
Okay. In that regard, is it worth taking risk in life as a beginner?
No, taking risk. Let me tell you the basic. My own example. When in May 2003, I was told that my work as the president of Central University College had come to an end, and they were transferring me to a church. I knew it wasn't accurate. I knew it wasn't the will of God. I knew that is not God's will, and that is not what it must be. Right? So after, to cut a long story short, 2004, after 1 year leave, I submitted my resignation. And people were afraid for me. That why not go to the church even if you don't like it? Where are you going to get money? People were afraid, but they couldn't tell me. But you see, for me, dignity is above everything. Conviction first. I knew what I could do. I knew God's will for me. Right? So I was willing to forego the comfort of being an employee at the whims and caprices of an individual. So I went on my own. And I was seeing pictures. I put the processes together. And then Central University College, Regent University College emerged. The initial expenditures, I was funding them. And then it is now history. And now I realize that if I had not taken those risks, they could have waited until I turned 60 years when the energy was gone and said, now we are retiring you. And I'll be struggling to start something. Now if I tell you the kind of thing, we were the first to honor, this man, Trebi Ashito Olenu, we did it 2 or 3 years before KNUST was invited. It was Kufuor that gave him the award on our behalf. If you are not gone there, the daring and the challenge of pioneering certain things that will, stir up people also to come on board, it wouldn't have been there. So, you see, let me tell you something. When you are convinced about the matter, and that's the reason why if you're a Christian, you must pray and pray well. Because God speaks. You are not just a body. You are basically a spirit being, not the Holy Ghost too. The Holy Ghost is a factor. But the spirit, you are spirit. And you are given the body to live in. The spirit needs a body. Just like demons, the people who are possessed by demons, the body is there, the demons come and stay in them. Right? You are a spirit, and then God has given you a body. And that body must connect with God's spirit. You must grow that spirit. You must grow that spirit so that, you will know what God's will is. Because God said, I will instruct you, Psalm 32 verse 8. I will instruct you and teach you in the way that you should go. I will counsel you and watch over you with my loving eyes. So you see, pioneers, they don't see the risk. They don't think about that. You don't think that is you don't see, because you see the finished product, and so the intermediary or the intervening space is just variables. You don't see, you don't think of the risk. You don't think of it.
My name is Bernard Ko, and the question I do have now is, now we are talking more of success and people. Now, if you wanted to be successful in something, then it should be something that you are passionate about. And whensoever you are passionate about something, you determine to that thing, and you ensure that you get to the goal of that very same thing. Yes. But at the commencement of your speech, you say you should not be thinking of the adding of people when you are about to start a business. I didn't say that. In that, go ahead. Yeah, in that when you want to start something, when you wanted to start something, which is a business, which is a passion of you, which will give you the satisfaction that you want, then I'm asking that, is it a necessity that you connect with people or you call people in so that the thing which is on your heart, which you really wanted to do, and which will take you to the next step or the next level of your life be established? Thank you.
Yes, because you see, we have different gifts. You see, we have different gifts. So you can have somebody who can sit down and put the documentation together for you, write the business plan and all those things. So you after getting the idea, the concept, and you have prayed through, if you're a Christian or even African traditional religion, prayer is critical. You see, you get people with like-mindedness to come and support. Yeah, that is always important. And that is what I said about networking. Networking is very critical. If you want to grow, if you want to expand, if you want to increase, networking is critical. With networking, you can begin to do, or you can do far, 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 far bigger than what an individual or few people can do. And that's the reason why those of you that are passionate about family business, you have to rethink it. When the other day I went to West Legon to buy jam. I said I wanted in Kulenu. And then the supermarket lady, I don't know how you got that information. Also, since that woman died, the children were also not interested in to run her factory, so the factory has collapsed. A seller at a filling station at West Lagos. How did she even get to know that? But the fact is that that family business has collapsed. That should never have been the case. So if you are doing a research, if you are a student, one of the things that you may want to research on is the question as to why is it that the indigenous enterprises don't survive the first generation owners. That after the first generation owners are gone, right, those businesses die. Why is it the case?